Hello, and good evening.
Yes.
Hello,
everyone.
Yeah. I'm just so excited to be here to our Committed and Covered All Things Marriage and Family Talks. And we're just going to have a good time tonight. We've got a great topic, guys.
We do. We have a good topic.
Yes. And although we have a great topic, this is pre-recorded. So I just want you guys to know this. So I'm sorry we won't be able to fill those questions that you normally give us. But we really want you to kind of just sit back, get your popcorn, whatever you're drinking, and just listen to the conversation that we have today. And Nicole, she's going to introduce our esteemed guest.
Still add your questions.
Yeah, you can.
Typically,
your
we can
too.
see them on Facebook, and we can go in and try to respond to those.
Yes.
So you're welcome to. And so today we have our co-host with us, Avery and Kimberly Jacobs, who have been married for 23 years.
Wow.
Good friends of ours. So yes, we welcome you guys.
Thank you.
We welcome you guys.
To be here. Glad to be here.
Today we have a pretty interesting topic, and it's called "Twas the Fight Before Christmas."
Whoa.
"Twas the Fight Before Christmas." And you want to tell them what we're going to be talking about, babe?
Girl, knock out, drag down. And so, but first I want to just tell Kim, Kim, when you talk, you can kind of lean into Avery's mic, and Avery can lean into his mic.
Right.
Because, people, or slide it between yourselves. Guys, we're at home. So, for you guys, you're looking, we're doing a little housekeeping. But 'twas the fight before Christmas.
Before Christmas.
12 rounds.
Yeah, 12. Hey, old school, 15.
Old 15.
Yeah, and yes, Muhammad Ali. You're right, Avery. And I think about
12
that.
days of Christmas.
I think about that.
Gave to me.
And for our listening audience, guys, I know you have been there. I mean, we're in the time, they say the reason for the season is Jesus, right? And it's better to give than receive, but we all like to receive something. And in receiving something, it costs something, doesn't it? At least
That's
for
right.
us.
Yes. And then oftentimes too,
Money.
of course, as couples, you want to talk about who we're going to get gifts for, how much are we going to spend, are you traveling, and so some of those things can become an issue in your marriage as you approach the holiday season.
Yeah.
So we've all been there before, and so we want to talk about those things. But before we get started, I have an icebreaker.
Yeah.
And so the icebreaker is Kim and Avery. What is a holiday Christmas tradition that you guys do with your family? Just anything that you guys do typically during the holidays.
Well, I think when our children were younger, we always did the what you call it, the little at the botanical gardens,
The lights.
the
The lights, celebration of lights or something like that.
We would do that, and then at night, the Christmas Eve, we would just kind of, sit around and talk, play games and things like that.
Yeah.
I think we do gingerbread house.
Gingerbread house, yeah.
Okay.
So we would do a gingerbread house, make cookies, and then send the kids to bed and start wrapping up gifts. Getting those together. So. Yeah, I think those are our traditions. Now, things have kind of changed because our kids are older.
Yes.
But that was our tradition.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, typically, our tradition is on Christmas Eve, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
At my sister-in-law's, we would have some snacks or some type of nice warm soup, and then the adults would exchange a gift. We would pull names, and the adults would exchange gifts, and then we would just have games, family games, but we wouldn't let the kids open up one of their gifts until someone down the line wanted to change that because there's all the kids sitting around. We was like, we're supposed to be the adults.
Right.
So then eventually we would let them open one gift and then send them to bed. And while we would still just have adult time with the grown-ups.
Yes.
And then on Christmas Day, everyone comes to our home and we typically cook and eat dinner then.
You normally have breakfast and then dinner later on.
Dinner,
So we make a whole day of it, and I just have a good time. But for me, when we would do the drawing of the names, I really have PTSD behind that because every single year, the person who drew my name, although it's somebody different, I would still get the same kind of gift. It wasn't, everyone, they're opening up these nice gifts, and I'm getting the mug or the sock not socks.
But you
sock.
supposed to appreciate all
And,
gifts.
yeah, and
gifts.
I'm all disappointed. I'm like, this is not an even exchange, And I'm just
Was it
like
a dirty Santa? Did you
no,
know?
it was not dirty Santa. We had a threshold, like this is how much
Yeah,
you
we did.
spend.
We have a threshold.
But for some reason, the person that would whoever drew my name was like Scrooge's cousin.
So were they even good socks?
No. I don't even want to say one of the gifts one year, but I'll say it was a pair of shoes.
Say it was a pair.
Don't say the name of the shoes.
Why not?
No.
Okay.
No. It was a pair of shoes, right? And the shoes were no name. You remember we were little?
Can I please
And
just
no,
say?
don't say the name.
Okay.
So please, babe. So in the grocery store, how you had shoes hanging up,
Oh, the hang up.
the hang up shoes, they were along that line.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
like they were hanging up right at the checkout aisle.
I don't even think
in
the
a
person
grocery
will be watching.
No.
Okay,
please,
but I
babe.
won't. I won't.
And I'm really
Please
like,
don't.
I'm really like serious on that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that's why we want to talk about this topic because you and Avery been married 23 years,
Yes.
Malcolm and I 25, and we have all experienced this holiday time. Malcolm typically feels a little anxiety around this time.
And can you tell Avery and Kim why in the listening audience?
I don't know why. I really don't because typically I was like, babe, it's okay.
I thought it was Twas the fight before Christmas
I can
talk.
tell you what I want specifically. But typically though, as I was doing some research about this topic, Focus on the Family, they had something, on the lines of typically in a marriage, there's a saver, a person, it's personality.
Yep.
Just like your love
A
language,
saver.
you have a personality. And you have the person that's a saver, and then you have a person that's a spender.
That's right.
And for the
So
person,
hold on. Why would you point at me when you say
I
spender?
really wasn't.
Because the finger was going in
I'm
the
sorry,
wrong
that was
direction.
just,
And I got
talk
the-
with my
I got
the look.
hands.
Yeah.
I got the look.
I
Yeah.
know you're the saver, and I know you're the saver.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
between us are two spenders. Yes.
True.
Really?
It sounds that way. Yes.
Oh, that's definitely
You said
different.
I'm the saver and he's the saver, right?
Yeah.
So
I
then
would
that
think
makes
you would be a saver.
I am a saver.
Okay.
I said between Avery and I.
Oh,
No, you got
okay.
two
Are the two
Oh, I
spenders.
see what you're saying.
Spenders.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that so the listening audience can understand how the seating arrangement is.
Yeah, so we know who are the two savers. Two savers, raise your hand.
Bingo.
Okay, two
Guilty.
spenders. But so what are so you've been married 23 years. What has been some issues around this time when it comes to spending?
I would say definitely early on. I think we've been married for so long now. We just kind of, we kinda
Know each other.
Know each other.
We're working practice.
We work in practice. You
But
think so?
when you practice, you get better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're 23 years in. We're getting better.
Yeah, we're getting better.
Yeah.
But because we're being transparent, it hasn't always.
No.
You got to start at a certain point
Right.
to get better.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we can agree with that because that's the same thing, with us. When we look back on earlier on in our marriage, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
But as time has progressed and we've learned to communicate better, it has gotten better.
Yeah, and for our listening audience, we can help them out in the picture and how it looks because although right now, gender speaking, the men look like they save, the women look like they spend, but it can cross the genders.
Yeah.
But it's what we have in our mind on how money should go. So to qualify this, Avery Jacobs is a
Yes.
financial advisor.
Yes.
His wife is a professional as well, working as a government contractor. All right. And then my wife happens to be a government contractor at this time. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm very close to it.
Yes, yes.
Very close.
Just don't have to.
entrepreneurs are.
That's right. That's right.
They're neck and neck, right?
Yes.
Right.
So we crunch numbers for a living, Avery and myself. So our two wives in between, they make money for a living as well as not crunch numbers like we do. Y'all get the verbiage?
We crunch them.
I said not crunch numbers like we do.
For a living.
Yes. So we keep it in outside of brackets because in accounting, if you got your numbers in brackets, that means it don't look too well.
Right.
Brackets means a negative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And for our wives don't have brackets. They just see a number, right?
Well, and I can say for us, one of the issues that we would have is like how, and honestly, at the beginning, it was just an issue until we really had sat down and had the conversation. Like, well, what is your issue, Malcolm?
Right.
Let me hear what that is. And then I would discuss what my issue was. And yours was mainly what? I don't want to speak for you.
Wow. Well, please do. Because I want to hear it.
Really not wanting to spend money at all. At all. That was...
At all. And that's
At all.
to do that. That's why, especially at Christmas,
Right.
It's hard to do.
Well, here's the thing. When you want more coming in than going out,
Yeah.
the person who doesn't feel that way totally, not that you were reckless, even a little bit of penny pinching is too much penny pinching. And that's really what we're hammering at, because 'twas the fight before Christmas.
Before Christmas.
Because, if we have, let's say our threshold is $200, as a saver, I want to save at least $150, right?
Oh, my.
But a person who's not necessarily at that point, I want to save 50 of the 200. So I'm happy that I still have a fourth left, and it's really not.
I get that.
It's really not great.
I get that.
And then, too, we're talking about some of the issues that we have experienced in our marriages around the holiday season. But we're also going to talk about, okay, what are some solutions to this? And so when I reflect back, as I stated, I always felt like Malcolm did not want to spend any money.
Yes.
And around the holiday season, it's just like he started feeling this anxiety, like, my wife is going to go just berserk and spend all this money. But as a wife, I had to learn, okay, I know my husband is a saver. What can I do? What can I do to help him to feel this, this less anxiety?
Right. And I think coming from a large family, both of you come from a large family. We both come from a large family. So, it can be overwhelming, especially if you have children of your own. You're still giving gifts to your nieces and nephews and grandparents, your mom and your parents. And, you can end up buying 15, 20 gifts, easily. So I think in the beginning, it's definitely overwhelming, and just having those conversations about in the beginning, okay, what are we going to buy for Christmas? What is our budget for Christmas?
Yes.
Right.
Because, especially now, things are so overly priced. Everything is just so overpriced.
Right.
It is. Inflation.
Yeah, the inflation is bad. So, just having, a sit down before Christmas, the Christmas holidays.
Probably even Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Before Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. And then having maybe the conversations with your other family members. Say, hey, look, maybe we need to, just like maybe this just the other day, with one of our family members, we just stopped giving out gifts to each other because it was basically starting to just flip money. That's what it was, The kids, all of our kids are, older kids, so they don't require toys and things like that. They want money.
Right.
So I finally just like, okay, this is just insane. We're just flipping money at this point.
We give you a $20 gift. You give us a $20 gift.
Yes, you're right. You're flipping, giving it back, just handing it back and forth.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So for us, it's the big family can definitely be an issue.
And then when you also consider your close friends, your net or your web is just getting wider and wider when you are looking to do nice things for.
Yeah. And growing up, I can say this too, and I think as an adult and how you spend, especially like for Christmas and things like that, what you see in your childhood, I can say like for me, I have a twin brother, and Christmas was like Candyland when we woke up.
Okay.
So I always associated Christmas as when my children wake up, it's got to be toys, like a
That's right.
Candyland.
Yes.
Over the top,
Yes, a toy store.
A toy store, and what was it? What was it? It wasn't really that way for you, or was it?
It was. I had a very pleasant Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmases.
Yeah. So I think we had that expectation until we looked at the coins. So it's like,
we want to pay it forward. You know, the way it was for us, we wanted our children to have the same thing.
Right.
The Winter Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland.
Yeah.
You wake up toys
That's pretty nice.
everywhere, and you know. But
Well, see, I grew up as a certain part we celebrated. Some years we did celebrate Christmas, but then when my mom became a Jehovah's Witness, I was around about 12, I think, and so all of that stopped, ceased. So I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken, and so definitely in my mind, when I get married, my home, we're celebrating. I mean,
yes.
I like to do stuff. Birthdays, all of that is big for me now.
Yes.
So, but with our children, I remember one year we did kind of go out a little bit too much. And that's when, when kids open gifts, when they get so much, they're really not focusing and paying attention.
Yes.
And so that year we was like, we won't make that mistake again. And so we would typically do like maybe one major gift and then some small things. But then you have aunts and uncles who give stuff, So we never really, after that one year, we never really just went above and beyond.
Yeah.
But I think the anxiety was more so specifically with me.
On what?
Like what I wanted.
We're back to me again. But here's the thing, though, about
My expectations.
expectations.
Yes.
when the thing what you said about knowing that we gave the kids too much one Christmas, we realized that, guys, and to give you more context to that, as they opened up one gift, they would toss it behind them and start on a new one.
Right.
A high quality gift.
Yes.
But open
Yes.
to get another high quality gift.
They kept opening up gifts and not spending time on the one gift because they saw so many. It's kind of like if you have 10 gifts to open, gift 1 and 2 is like, I'm behind.
Right.
So let me I'm rushing.
Right.
Hurry up. So we realized, it's a little too much.
And then if the aunt gave a cheap gift, that's the one they played with the whole time.
The whole time.
The whole entire time. So
Dollar General stuff.
yes, he was like, really?
Yeah, favorite
The empty
gift.
boxes.
Yeah, the favorite gift.
Yes.
But that technology you spent good money on, it's like,
Yes.
But I wouldn't say it was anxiety for me. I felt like it was more of the idea of the repercussion of what you spend. So it's kind of like, I'm more of a or person, right? You get this or that. And my wife is an and.
Let me write that down.
She's an and
Can
person.
I add that now?
Yes, you can.
I'm an and too.
My wife is an and person. I'm going to get this and that and that and that. And so I've been telling her that over the years. You have to become an or person when you budget. Yeah.
And or.
It sometimes even not, but to really like make it like we both can get along, it has to be or. Now if you're on not, that means you're kind of too rigid.
Very rigid.
Very rigid, yeah.
But it needs to
Definitely.
It needs to be or. It needs to be or. Then you can work through it.
But then I also think too, once your children start getting a little older, you tend to not buy as many gifts, and you typically be like, okay, guys, you just get like one major gift.
Because one major gift
Wait a minute, did you
is
say
a lot of money. That one major,
Yeah, but I'm hearing Nicole, y'all, and I don't know if this is who I know. She said as they get older. I mean, this girl is still treating adult children with like it's, let's do birthday and Christmas. Avery?
But-
I need some help here, man.
Man, I'm with you on that. And we've known each other for a long time.
Yes,
We're
we
both
have.
on that same save.
Yes.
But what you're going through, we're living in the same house,
Yes.
okay?
Yes. And as adult children, it's time to spread those wings. And those gifts change, but that's
but
another
it does. But
conversation.
as
as mothers,
mothers,
they're
as givers.
as
I'm
givers.
a giver.
Yes,
And some fathers follow suit.
Yeah.
So
Right,
we
yeah.
won't make it gender specific.
right.
Yeah.
But as mothers, I'm saying mothers though, because I'm speaking on behalf of mothers. If you're out there paying attention and listen, our babies will always be our babies, right? Yes, and we always will treat them like our babies in our eyes.
Well, Malcolm, you're like me. If they're eating, they're sleeping in a warm bed.
Exactly.
We're giving it all year.
Exactly.
He say that, but he likes to make sure they're happy as well. You try to be
Well,
hard.
the only curveball I'll throw at Avery, because we are similar in a lot of ways. But see, your youngest, they have a girl she's their youngest. He's not there yet, but they will be able to tap into meager attitude for an eternity. It's just something, man. Now these boys, they want, we together on that. But when your youngest and she's 20 and she's like, Dad, I'm in a bind, and you already, you already have shelled out a lot.
See gender differences in kids.
That's true, y'all.
Girls typically pull on the daddy's heartstrings, and boys do with mommies. But
and we need to have another podcast about that.
That is true. That's a topic. That would be an awesome one.
Yeah.
But so we're talking about issues, and another issue, not with us, but we've never had to deal with it. But some friends of ours, like if you come from both families where both like to celebrate Christmas or holidays, how do you determine where you're going to go?
And that could really be, because with her mother being of the faith that they don't celebrate Christmas, we didn't have to worry about that.
No, we didn't.
But with you guys...
I mean...
So how do you handle it?
Yeah, we've had years where we have gone back and forth. But I think as far as our discussion on it, we wanted our kids to have a full Christmas. And so with us traveling, we weren't able to take all of their gifts on the road. And so we kind of felt like sometimes our kids were being left out because they were not experiencing a full Christmas.
Yes.
And I just didn't, it got to a point where I wasn't enjoying it. I think the last time we traveled, we went to Maryland. And man, on the way back home, it took us, it's typically, 12 hours? I think it took us probably 18 hours to get home.
Right, the
all
travel
kinds of
because
storms
of the
and
weather.
everything, the ice, the snow. And
Too much.
It was too much.
Wow.
And so from that time, we were like, never again. I will have Christmas at my house.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's been for
So
That's good.
So it sounded like what you're saying is you and Avery had to decide for your family how you were going to celebrate it and what works best for you.
What works best for us. And, if our parents or whatever want to come over, my parents come up because they don't live here, then that will be great. But we just didn't want to put that stress on us. And I think there's a discussion you just have to have with your spouse, because traveling and doing all that, this could be a bit much.
It was a lot.
Yes. And then I've heard some of my friends say what they typically do is they will just set a date and time where they'll just say, we'll come either for Thanksgiving or we'll do Christmas. They take turns with whichever one and sometimes switch it. Or they'll say, hey, everybody come to our house, And so, but you have to do what's convenient for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what's great. We didn't have to worry about doing what was convenient for us because it was always right in our town. Christmas was always at our house.
And his parents always came to us. Always came to Huntsville, so it worked out. So any other issues that can spring up around, Christmas break? We're talking about money, guys. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about 'Twas the fight before Christmas.
And all through the house. Everything was stirring, even the mouse.
even the coins.
Even
the coins.
I think if you sit back though, if you say like after Christmas, where you're trying to pay off things and do this and you don't tap out your savings, you do a little bit too much.
Right.
And then you need to, in my opinion, take a step back to say, what can we do going forward that we don't get into this? Because a lot of people, that during this time of the year, they're racking up those credit cards and you got to pay that money back.
Right.
You know? Or default.
Yeah. So having a game plan, to me, because after Christmas is gone, those gifts are open.
Yes.
You got to.
That's true. And for us, and I'll let the listening audience know, we were and still are a work in progress. 25 years married, and that was contention, but it was not divorce contention, guys. But it was always contention each season when we came around to this as to what we'll do. And I'll be honest, we never really set the budget or a budget, and that's one thing that we were going to discuss in here. How does that look? So for you guys, do you have any nuggets, or is it still a rub?
Well, no, I think we're doing a whole lot better. But I think one of the things we try to do, and Kim does this, and I applaud her, for taking the step as the spender, is that she opens a Christmas club, which a portion of her check goes to this set account
throughout the year,
so that was it November or December, early December?
Yeah.
She has a certain amount that is available to spend for Christmas. And even though we may go above that, if the resources are available, but it provides a guideline, a roadmap that we try to stick by.
Yeah. And I did that because, and it's a pretty good amount. I try to set back because even if we don't spend all of it, and we typically don't, I mean, the rest of it, hey, we can use it to pay off a bill, to put into savings, or save for a trip or something like that. Right. So it's just that money, you put back, and if listeners, if you have Christmas club options at your jobs, that's the best thing to get.
Your bank too.
At a bank.
And it could just be an amount that you're comfortable with that does not affect your month-to-month living. Whether it's $25 every 2 weeks or $50, whatever your budget allows. But at the end of the year, you've got some money that's available that you don't have to. You don't have to put it on the card. You don't have to pull it from some emergency fund. It's there for you.
Because you think even like a $50-something, $50.
Yeah.
It adds up. It
does.
And you do that for,
that's
a year.
$100 a month.
Something better than nothing.
That's
$1,200.
That's $1,200.
We actually, I remember, I think we actually did that a couple of times. But then I said a couple. And then we got away from it. See, he not giving me my props.
He
he ain't giving my props.
That's true.
But
we have done that. We have done that. But I'm laughing, or not really laughing, but I'm smiling because Avery is a financial advisor, but because he is one, his wife has become one as well. Because she's talking in
rubbing off.
Yeah, she's talking in FA terms. I love
because
it.
I know I like to spend.
Okay.
And my husband is cheap.
Okay. All right.
It allows me
the derogatory terms.
Yes, cheap.
We're not
I know.
well, let's say save. Okay,
frugal.
saver.
But
Saver.
Saver, frugal.
He's
Yeah.
frugal. Okay.
Yeah.
But because I know that's why I was like, so I've been doing Christmas Club for several years now. I was like,
That's
you know
good.
what? Let me do this Christmas Club. So that way there's no issues, no discussions. I know in November, I'm getting this pot of money that we
that you can
saved,
spend.
that we can spend. That way it takes out the stress of, okay, what do we have to, who do we have to get a gift for? We know what the pot is, and then we have enough, to pay off a bill or save for a summer trip.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's from 20. What you guys have started doing from over 23 years ago to try to decrease the tension in your marriage around Christmas time. And that's what it's about, instead of ignoring, well, I'm just going to continue to do what I've been doing. Right. Well, I will say, I remember it got to a point where we would really sit down. And so I would say, okay, well, Malcolm would say, well, what do you want to spend? Like I'm like, ooh, that's a hard question because you asked me that question. But we would also look at, discuss who are we trying to purchase a gift for? Because of course I am a giver. I would want to give everybody a gift. And when I give gifts, I'm giving gifts, right? Yes. So we would talk about that, and I learned that, just the kids and then of his parents, or my siblings, and then once they started having children, I was like, okay, we just get the kids something. And then we also started pulling names. And so that way we didn't have to, we didn't feel like we were obligated to give a bunch of people gifts. Like, let's all just pull names.
And that's another thing you can do, Nicole. I'm glad you mentioned that because when you're coming from a big family, pulling names is another thing. Right. Don't be afraid to say that,
Yes.
One gift.
And when we pull names, that's a collective thing, It's not, don't expect a gift again,
Right.
So we pull names, Joe gives you a gift. Sarah doesn't get a gift from, everybody else. It's the group thing.
Yes, and I remember us as a family, my family, when I was little, the Turner family, and we have a large family, and I could just remember those memories of exchanging names like that, and I just just bring back so much memories. You know, you'd be so excited, like, you know, drawing names and knowing, I got this person's name. But it took away a lot of the stress
of right. And that's very important because, you know, over the years, like I said, we may not have always just gotten to an exact amount, but I would give my amount and I said, well, what do you think about that? And he was like, that's not bad. You know, he may say, can we go down a little bit more? Or we talk about specifically something that we knew the kids may want, you know, and so let's see how we're going to work that. But at the end of the day, really, when you don't overspend, you feel good, you know, after it's like, okay, we didn't overspend. We're not going in debt for Christmas. No. But, you know, there have been times where it's like, oh, my goodness, I think we did a little too much, you know.
Well, you know, especially early on in your marriage, you know, when the money, the money's funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Kim, depending on how you budget, early on, middle, late, you know, money can always be funny. You know?
Money can be funny.
You know, and I'm spinning. He's like, wait a minute now. We still have light bill and things to pay for.
You know, and we've got the Ring app, the doorbell. And so, you know, talking about gifts and overspending.
You seeing what's coming in.
I see
Prime.
UPS, FedEx,
Amazon,
all that every day. And I'm calling. I say, Kim, you know, what's going on? Is this?
I know he walked in the other day. I had about 4 or 5 packages sitting there. He was like, Kim, what I said, it's Christmas time. You know it's Christmas time.
So,
I always thought, look, I'll be ordering all.
Say Christmas club budget. Christmas club budget,
baby.
You know what I say? Malcolm like, I said my credit card rewards.
There you go.
Credit card rewards when I order something from Amazon.
Yeah.
But here's my thing, you know, I'm like credit card rewards on everything. Like each time, credit card rewards, credit card rewards. I'm like, okay, all right. I know that's been exhausted, but I won't say anything. Credit card rewards.
Credit card rewards.
So guys, we're hoping that you're gaining some nuggets from our experience. But one thing again we want to reiterate is, as we've stated as couples here, communication is key, and you know, if you're in a marriage, communication is always key, no matter what's going on in your marriage. So you want to communicate, first of all, about how much you want to spend. What's the plan? Who are we going to purchase gifts from?
Make a list.
Make a list. Even when it comes to traveling, you know, because that's another expense too, especially with the gas prices and then food. That's another expense now that we.
So expensive.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so
you don't get the same for your money.
You don't get the same for your money. You really have to budget. Because it's like you said, with just food alone, it's so expensive.
It is.
So, I mean, the key is budgeting. And that's even with trips, you know,
all
taking
the way
vacations.
down.
And my husband knows, like, I have a pot for everything. For vacation, because when I go on vacation, I want to go on vacation.
You
want
to
spend my coins and not going like this, well, we can't.
Yes.
No, so I have a budget for my vacation. Yes. You know, budget for my Christmas, my pot,
That's
you
right.
know.
Yeah.
And I think when you figure that out, it just takes away a lot of stress. And and hurt feelings.
Well, basically, it sounds like what you're saying is budgeting is important when it comes to money. If we're going to spend, we need to try to budget as much as possible. And then we don't want to take away from, well, we know Christ is the reason for the season, but we are talking about issues, real issues that can come up in your marriage when it's time to start buying gifts and you know, experiencing the holidays, that those can be some additional stressors. Traveling, because gas, groceries, having to do all, and back in the day, we didn't really have to budget that too much, but now with gas prices and grocery prices, we have to.
And, you know, we did, one of the questions was, you know, tips to give. But if for our listening audience, all while we have been talking, we have been getting those tips, especially from the Jacobs, you know, the Christmas club fund that you can do. For some of you guys who don't have a bank account, you got your drawer, your mattress, right? Yeah, you know, however you choose to do it. $5. Go old school, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. Make sure you put it under the box spring.
Right.
You know, like people know to look under the mattress. Put it under the box spring, Bill, under that piece of wood that's holding your box spring up,
Yes.
But you got that. You've got the, first of all, it's communication and begin to talk about it. These are the tips that we're laying out there. And
even if it's uncomfortable, because the conversations can be uncomfortable if you're not agreeing.
And let your guard down. So if my wife comes to me and says, hey, let's talk about the spending. And then if she comes with a number that's insane, don't automatically go into the argument. Just say, hey, well, we need to work on that number.
We can negotiate.
Yeah, negotiate.
Let's
And that was a tip
negotiate.
that you gave as well. So
Yeah.
great tips so far for our listening audience.
And so as we prepare to close, do you, the Jacobs, have any additional advice you want to give to maybe, someone that's single? We do speak
true.
on behalf of married couples, but we also want to make mention for our singles, good information too. So,
Well, one thing I would mention, this conversation has been primarily about budgets and money.
Yeah.
But one thing that I found and that we have found is that time is very valuable too. And what we've tried to do to people who are close to us is give them the gift of our time.
Wow.
Yes.
That's deep.
Now that does not necessarily cost anything.
Yeah.
Right.
But and I'll just give you an example. I do not necessarily remember what I got last year for Christmas. It doesn't, I got something, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I do remember being at a Christmas party and having some fun.
That's
with some of our
right.
close
Yes,
friends.
yes,
So
yes.
that didn't cost anything. It was, it was a
That's
gift
true.
of time, and we had a good time. And I remember it more than I remember the financial or the monetary gifts that we did.
Wow.
And I want to add, I would like to add to what Avery stated years ago when we all first got married. And Malcolm and I moved into our first brand new home, and we used to host couples Christmas get together. And so when we moved in the house, and Avery said, Nicole, you and Malcolm, are you guys going to have a Christmas get together? I was like, no, Avery. I said, we don't have any furniture right now.
No
we
furniture.
didn't have.
Empty
We
living
had,
room.
but I
No
kind of
kids.
gave it right.
Yeah,
No
no
kids,
kids in the
nothing like
house,
that. We
no
was just
furniture.
happy to be in our new home. And so I was like, so no, we're not going to have it. My mindset, I was thinking, honestly, materialistic things.
Right.
We didn't have tables, chairs, things. And so Avery came back and he said, well, you know what, Nicole, it's not about that.
not about
he
it.
said, pull out some
Folding
folding
chairs.
chairs
I remember.
and the white tables that you can get from the church.
That's right.
And he said, and we gonna have a good time. And I said, Avery, you know what? You are so right. And we had a good time.
did.
Games, fun, music.
Yeah.
It was fun. And he said, you also said nobody can mess up your furniture that way. You just got to. I said, Avery, it was just
a
like an
2-for-1.
eye opener. Yes. And so we proceeded to have that get together again. So I'm glad that you brought that up because really it's about family, it's about friendship, it's about community and fellowship with one another, and not always specifically about spending gifts, buying gifts, and what you get materialistic.
Because we can't remember the food we ate.
Nope.
Right.
We can't
No.
remember if we played Secret Santa or the
Right.
gifts that we
Right.
received,
No.
like what you said,
Right.
David.
Right.
But we can remember the time that was spent.
That's
It's
right.
priceless.
Yes,
Priceless.
yes. So
And,
we
and
hope.
if you're arguing, you're not spending time.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
So we hope from this episode, Twas the
Yes.
Fight Before Christmas,
And all
that
through
we
the
have
house.
given you guys some good, healthy nuggets to chew on and add to your Christmas holidays so that it can help relieve some stress if you're having it. And I also want to add before we close out is going into 2024, Family Ministries has some new programs that we're going to
Yes.
roll out. Of course, Committed and Covered is the umbrella, but our women's ministry leader, Kim Roper, she's going to be introducing a new platform that will fall up under Committed and Covered. And our singles ministry leader will also be starting a new platform as well. So we hope that in
Juliet
2024,
Wise.
Juliet Wise, thank you. And so stay tuned to 2024. Again, we have some good programs that are going to roll out, and we want to wish you all a wonderful, wonderful Merry Christmas, Happy
right. And
Holidays.
remember-
Happy
and-
holidays.
Yes. And remember, Jesus is the reason for the season.
For the
so
season.
if you give anything this season, give your heart to Christ.
Yes.
Yes.
So we want you to remember that. And remember, our OUC online family, we love you.
Yes.
We love you. Get that Christmas club.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time.
That's right. Bye.
Bye-bye.